That was so epic, right? Good morning, good morning, good morning. So we're doing coffee and consciousness this morning. I have some beautiful special guests with me this morning. Louisa, BX Bella, Vanessa, Katrina is on the panel today. I thought this would be really cool to test out and do, and just come together right now. Hollywood's a month for right now, and then we'll see how it goes, right? So that was the ad, you guys, for the moon bathing in nature retreat that we're going to be doing at the end of July, early August. For it's actually the full moon in August is on the 1st of August. I keep wanting to say October, August, which is a full moon in Aquarius. And so if you want it, don't miss this trip. A lot of you guys were sad last year and that you didn't go. And I can tell you 3 of us that are on here went, and we absolutely fucking loved it. So you definitely do not want to miss it. So good morning, you guys. Today we're just chatting with coffee. And today's topic I wanted to bring up was, can we be great at everything? And one of the reasons why I brought this up was hence tomorrow is Martin Luther King Day, right? And I remember a podcaster, which I never get her name right, but she was really, 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 really like ragging on Martin Luther King about him not being a great man, and that he cheated on his wife and he wasn't a great father, and all of this, that, and the third. And so I wanted to not really go there, but on the topic of, can you really be great at everything in your life? And so what are you guys thinking? What do you guys think about that?
No, nope. It is an immediate no for me. And while you can be great at many things and you can excel in different areas of your life, you are just not going to be great at everything.
Right, right. I think it's definitely a false expectation to put on yourself or others, to say that I can be, and I know we do this. So many of us do this, that I can be the best employee or move up in the chain and be like top notch, right? And be incorporated. And then I can also be the greatest wife, right? And then I can also be the greatest mom all at the same time, when you have to divide your time and energy. And I don't think there's some things in this world that we actually can give 100% to, and then also give 100% at home. I think there are careers, and I think there are things in this life, especially when it comes to people who do like shifting society type shit, right? I don't think you can focus at home. He had an awesome wife that did her thing at home, right? So he was able to go and like focus on the bigger picture, and she was handling business at home, which doesn't make him less of a man, because that's what he chose and that was what his purpose was. So I found that interesting.
I think I think with we can think we're the best or doing the best and somebody else don't. So I think yeah, I would definitely agree with no, I don't think we because our expectations can be definitely different to someone else. We may think we're the best, we're doing the best job, we are the best, the best wife. That doesn't mean that, your job think you're the best employee or your husband think you're the best wife.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like we can do our best at everything that we do, but we are not going to be the best at
Exactly.
everything that we do.
We can try to be the best, but we're
Right.
not going to be the best. And I guess accepting that should be good enough. We can try to be the best, but we know we're not going to be the best, not to everyone. I mean, even if in our eyes, we may really think we're the best. So, yeah, it goes back to, I guess we can try to be the best, but know that we're not going to be the best in everyone else's eyes.
Right.
Okay.
I think, it's like to remove that pressure on self also, because I think it's a self-imposed pressure to think that you have to be great in every aspect of your life. And I think sometimes our family and friends and parents will shift to make you feel bad that you're not showing up. Like if I like, okay, I'm making this choice in my life, whatever it is, like say, and I'll go back to just career. Like say I'm a mom and career is this, but I want to focus on this career because this is where my passion is, and I can't be mom. And so family steps in. Unfortunately, those same family members most of the time will then make you feel like shit because you decided to go here, and it was like, well, you said you had my back, and now I'm the piece of shit parent because I went ahead on this path. And I think unfortunately this is where a lot of even our family and friends have to take that step back. And where does that come from, that we do the snap and we're talking shit about someone, and we're demeaning them now because they made a choice, and they agreed to assist. And I've seen that a lot even with my own life, and I've seen that a lot with other people, where it's like you have this idea, and we all know that you can make decisions and then be like, damn, maybe I should have waited for these children, or maybe I should have, did this, but they're here now, right? So now it's like, okay, now how do I maneuver? So now I gotta, do this. And then I think a lot of that comes from the pressures of our circles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I deal with that a lot.
once you do something great, they expect you to be great at everything. So if you were that single mom and you did hold it down and was able to have a job and raise your children, now things get a little overwhelming. They expect you to be able to hold it down again. So now because you were probably great at some things, now they expect the expectations is now for you to be great at everything you do. Like they just expect like, okay, you done got through this, you can get through this.
Right. Right. You can't though. Like you can't. I was a single mom, and I tried very hard to be the best mom I could be, but you can't. You can't show up
It's
and be trying to have a career, and you know what I mean, and work all these crazy hours while you're trying to make a name for yourself to make sure that you also put food on the table. It is very hard. Something is going
to get neglected.
to
Yes.
what I mean, get
Whether
neglected.
children or the job, like
Right.
you can't. It's
Well,
only
like
you.
I sucked at a lot of things, tried my hardest, but then my love life, you know what I mean, sacrificed.
Right.
So
Exactly.
somewhere you're gonna sacrifice some part of your life because shit, I can't even show up for myself and this kid. How the hell am I gonna show up
But
for anybody else
Or
who
a
might
partner.
need me at this time, you know? And I think even on our side as women, we do this to men a lot, where they might be the ones that are career driven or going through, you know, and we'll be like, well, I need this attention, I need this. And then they're like, I can't do both. Like I can't. And we get so pissed off and mad about that. It's like we don't understand that. What do you mean you can't
right,
do both?
we take it personal now. We think it's about us when it's not about us. It has nothing to do with them not probably wanting to spend time with you or things like that. It's just the way their life is set up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think now in this day and age, though, because women tend to take on so much, because how many women are really staying at home? So they are the ones that have to be the parent, have to be the wife, and have to also have a career. So they have to show up. And I guess men tend to be, or it's more understandable in society terms that men are focused on work
Mm.
and they have to take care of the bulk of the bills theoretically, but in actuality, women are the bread makers in a lot of relationships. And like you said, you were a single mom, so you had to take care of all of that on your own. So I guess that could be why sometimes females in general are like,
Mm.
why can't you show up for me if I have to show up for you, them, and this?
Right, right, right. I definitely agree that it is very society looks it's okay. But if the woman does it, there's a big fucking problem
Right.
because you're supposed to be like the mom, the homemaker, but not every woman has the desire to just be the homemaker. Like,
Right.
you know, not every woman has that desire. So I think it's going to be that catch 22 regardless of how you look at it, but somewhere you're going to suffer. Something in there is going to like and I know we preach this balance, having balance, and and I look like, when I switched, even when I left my career in 2020 and I came into the spiritual seat, I didn't still have time to go and frolic at the lake and the beach and stuff. And it was like, because I'm driven, I am learning, I am growing, I'm creating a business, and so it was like, where the fuck does this balance
Yeah.
come in?
Something always have to give. Like you were talking about the homemaker. That is not me. That is not a role I have ever wanted to truly play. Like, yeah, I'll clean, I'll cook, I'll do what needs to be done.
Right.
But if something has to be put on the back burner, I'm not cooking dinner, or I'm not cleaning the bathroom, or mopping the kitchen. Like, no, that's going to be put on the back burner for me because that's not my priority. And figuring out what's important to you
Mhm.
and your immediate circle, I think that's what can help you get past the thought that I have to be great at everything. I have to be all the things to everyone.
Mhm.
And if I don't, I'm a failure. Once you can prioritize and figure that out, I think it'll help in the long run.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Right.
I grew up with an older sister who I should have been the older sister. So she's always got off easy. If she needs a babysitter, she can have a babysitter. If when it comes to me, I get nothing. So I've actually had my mom say to me once, "It sucks that you were born second." And that like really hit hard because now my expectations are set even higher because I can't get everything handed to me like my sister. And whenever I went to school, and because my kids are 9 years apart, so I went to school, I did what I had to do to make a better career for myself and my son. And it was like, oh, I have your kid all the time. Well, I asked you before I went to school if that was okay. So then here comes my daughter, and now my parents are still watching her, so I couldn't work. And every day it's a complaint like, oh, your daughter's so bad. She did this, she did that. Like, so now I want to go back to school to get into like the mental health field and be like a peer specialist. And I'm just not living up to my purpose. And I'm just like, well, who's going to watch my kids for me to do that? Because she already complains so much about me and she has to help my sister, and I'm always put on the back burner. So I feel like no matter what I do when it comes to my sister, that I have to be the perfect one because she always gets a slap on the wrist and it doesn't matter. And it's been that way my whole entire life. So
Mm.
having my kids so far apart in age doesn't make a difference really. The only thing that I learned differently is not to be so career focused because when my son was in kindergarten, I was like, oh, well, my mom will go to this Halloween parade. Oh, I don't need to take time off for the kids. Oh, I can't take time off. Now, my kids are sick. Bye, I'm leaving because they come first. My job comes second. And it took me many, many years and mom guilt to actually say, this job is replaceable. My children are not. So I
Mm.
just was like, in my family, my dad was always like, "Oh, you got to work, you got to do this, you got to do that," and like he mentally abused my mom a lot. So I never wanted to be dependent on a man for nothing. So I just got so focused on you can't miss work, no matter if it's snowing and you're gonna wreck. Like you have to go, you have to go, you have to be this perfect worker, you're this perfect mom. One
Mm-hmm.
day I woke up and said, I don't care if my house is not clean. I don't care if it's not up to your expectations because I can't do it all. I'm one person. I only could do what I could do with what I got. I can't do any more. And I was burning out and I was so miserable that I would take it out on my son. And now I just don't. If you don't like the way my house looks, don't knock on my door. I didn't ask you to come anyway.
Right, right, right. It sucks. It really does suck because I think we've probably all had some instance like that where, especially like you do, I agree with having to know what you want. And I think when we're always talking about, we're talking about the whys, knowing your whys to everything. You know, not that your like kids are mistakes or anything, but sometimes we do make decisions that it's like, damn, I still want to do this. And now I want to be mom, but I still want to do this, right? And I remember like I was telling my daughter this not too long ago. I was like, I was on I had like 60 credits in college. I was almost done. And then all of a sudden it was like no one could watch my daughter. And it was like, wait, what? And it wasn't like they were telling me ahead of time, like, yo, I can't watch her no more. It was just one day, can't watch her no more. And it was just like, I'm like almost done, like literally almost done. And I wasn't even aware because I was working and going to school. So I wasn't even aware of how much schooling I had already done, that I was almost there to getting a degree. And that's when I was going for associates in arts. And I didn't understand it until I moved away from my family and I went to the college and saw my transcripts. And it was like 60 something credits. They were like, you know, you could have got a degree, right? And I was like, really? Like, damn, you know? And then to realize like I was so close, but then just like that, and honestly, I was very pissed off at them for like, damn, like, why couldn't you tell me? I could have tried to do something. It's not really their job, right? We can't really be mad at them. Like, we could hope people will have our back and be there for us. But at the same time, if they choose not to, we can't be pissed off and mad because we are the
Mm,
parent, right? So again, in some aspects, it's just that back and forth of it, eating it. Like, damn, this was my choice. Fuck it. But somebody's gonna have to sacrifice somewhere. There's gonna be some
yeah,
sacrifice. People are not gonna like it. Your children aren't gonna like it. Shit, my daughter has a lot of shit that she's working through, from me being not home because it's like, well, who else was gonna pay the bills? We didn't get child
yeah.
support. We didn't get a check. Nobody was paying that. It was just like I made like
Hmm.
when I moved to Florida from and this is like 20 years ago, right? Where I was making $10 an hour at that time was really good. And then I moved to Florida and Florida was like $5 an hour. And it was just like a huge shock to go from like $10 an hour to $5 an hour. I was like, what the fuck is this? So it was like I worked two jobs because it was like, how am I and the cost of living was more. So it was like, how am I going to offset this? So my daughter had to grow
Yeah.
up, she had to be an adult as a kid. She had to be an adult and watch herself. So, and I've worked through a lot of that guilt where I had a lot of guilt of not being home and not being able to be there and missing her recitals or things that she wanted to do. But at the same time, it's like, how else was it going to get done? You know, I was never going to be the mother on welfare, right? I wasn't never going to be that. That was not my, like, I was like, okay, yeah, I might have a kid, but I'm not going to be the one just trying to get a check. That's not me. And I wasn't going to be the one who wanted to live off of Section 8 for the rest of my life. Like, I grew up in that. So my mindset was like, no, I'm going to work. I'm going to make this money and I'm going to work hard and we're just going to work it out. And I'm going to be this working mom who gives my daughter a better life. But, you know, again,
Something had to
Yeah.
give.
Yeah. One talks about
Yeah.
that, like on the child, how much it affects the child, how much resentment they have toward, they kind of don't understand until they become a mom and they put in that situation, and then they'll understand a little more of the choices you make. But when they're young, they don't understand. They don't get it, so it's more of like sometimes them blaming themselves or whatever, and even going to work and Some parents, they lose their children to the streets because they now confiding in someone else, whether it's a man, a friend, a gang, something they now want to belong to or turn to while we're at work. So it's like it's
Right.
hard. It's really hard because you can really lose your child, and especially in those teenage years when they need us the most, when
Mm.
they have to make decisions, when people, students are bullying them, or they first falling in love and they don't know how to deal with heartbreak and those type of things. That's when they need us the most, but we're too busy working, trying to feed them, trying to pay them bills so we don't be homeless.
Mhm.
And now they turn to someone else or take matters in their own hands.
Mm.
I will say this, and I'm going through that right now with my own daughter. It's funny that y'all said that because kind of like everything y'all have discussed up until this point, I think I've covered from A to Z in my life. But right now, where I didn't want to have to depend on a man or whatever and ask for support or whatever, I joined the military. And in joining the military, I had to leave my kids with my mother. So right now, as y'all can see running around, he probably come through here again. Um, and my daughter filling whatever void she's got going on.
Mm.
Um, I'm now raising my 4-year-old grandson. And I know it has to do with her childhood and whatever resentment and anger or whatever that she's going through and the path that she's on now. I know that that's part of it. And I try to tell her to go get help. I mean, at some point, you have to take responsibility for your choices, just like I had to take responsibility for mine. And I've been in therapy
Mhm.
off and on since 2008. So at some point, you can no longer blame me.
Right.
Um, and you have to make the decision to heal. Because at that point, you're almost 30. It's not my fault no more.
Right.
So and I'm just going to go ahead and do what I have to do now where I got to the point where I didn't have to be on auto and focus on taking care of the kids. And when I got to the point where I could sit still and focus on me and literally Ariana and Louisa can tell you literally do nothing all day. Um now
Yes.
I'm being a mom all over again to a 4-year-old and I'm trying to remember what's like trying to think back because my kids is 30 and but like okay I don't remember the 4-year-old phase. Is this normal 4-year-old behavior or do he need therapy or um is something wrong with him? Like I'm just trying to put all the pieces together because at almost 50 this was not in my plan. I wanted to
Mhm.
go live on a cruise ship. Okay.
I know you did.
It's real, and life takes turns, and I don't think mostly a lot of people like life doesn't go in the way they envision it, right? Because even myself, when I was a teen, I was looking for love, and in the wrong places, right? And I had this idea of like what that love from a child would be, right? And then that's why I was, ended up having kids. And it's crazy because no matter how loving I was, my daughter still, by the time she got to her teens, was looking for that love. And you know what I mean? And then met her baby daddy and she got pregnant. She wasn't a bad kid. It wasn't like she was hanging, she wasn't a bad kid. She ended up falling for a guy and, gave her all the promises that you, and not having her dad in her life was a big one, right? So then, boom, she's a mom. And at that point, I just wanted to travel. Like I was in my late 30s. I had been a mom since teens. I was like, it's time to travel. It's time to go places. And then boom, my daughter's pregnant. And I'm like, I was pissed off and mad at her. I was so angry at her. I was like, do you know you grew up with me? Hello. You grew up with me as a teen mom. I must have made it look too good. Like I must have made this shit look way too good for you to fucking like what happened? And it was crazy because I didn't talk to her. She kind of had left for a little bit and went with the baby daddy and his sister, which eventually I was like, she need to see what type of people those are. But then she had sent me a picture and she had found out it was twins. And I was like, my heart just dropped. Like, the fuck is she gonna do with twins? Like, I didn't even know what the fuck she was gonna do with one. And it was like, what the fuck is she gonna do with two? And I was just like, oh my God, like why? Like, you know what I mean? I'm asking, like, what is the purpose of this? And I ended up becoming mom again for her and the boys because she actually got postpartum depression afterwards, really bad, you know, which was again something that was very unexpected. And it was just like, oh shit, like now I'm mom. I'd go to work, come home and help out and be mom. And even though she couldn't show up to be the mom she probably wanted to be or the mom she thought she could be, you know, and for a long time the boys called me mom. She has a great relationship with them now because of all the work she's done and the growing that she's done with them. But it wasn't easy in the beginning. Again, someone had to sacrifice. I sacrificed to be like, all right, let me help you. But not everybody is going to be like that. Because even at a certain point, I was like, all right, I need you to come back and be mom. Like, I know you're like drifting this way and you're trying to go live life because you need the experience, but I need you. I'm tired. I need you to come back and be mom. So it's rough. So I can now look back at some of my family and be like, damn, you know, I get it. I get it. It's not your kid. It's not your, you know what I mean? I get it. You're tired. You're exhausted. Damn. Okay. You know, I get it. I can sit back and get it. Not that it helps because again, no matter what you're trying to do, something's gonna suffer. And like me now as an adult, I don't want to be the fucking wife that's cooking and cleaning and fucking doing laundry. I'm like, where are we ordering? Like if you like my thing is like if like literally and I haven't been on the dating site in forever, but when I used to be on the dating sites, one of the questions like men ask is like, do you cook? And I'd be like, I would be like, no, even though I know how to cook. So if that's your question to ask me, do I cook? I'm gonna tell you no, even though I know how, because I don't want you thinking you're getting a fucking chef, you know, when we get together. No, you might get like 3 meals a year. The rest we're gonna order. You got to understand, like, no, because I focused on me. This past 4 years has been focusing on me. And I even checked out from my kids. I was like, y'all fucking grown. Y'all do you. This is about me. I'm selfish right now. This is about me time. I don't see family half the time. I don't talk to people half the time. And I don't feel bad about it because I'm doing me. I'm in my purpose. I'm like, I'm changing the fucking world. I don't know what y'all got going on. I love you guys. I'll see you when I see you. And I don't feel bad for it because I'm like this. So I'm like, anyone who wants to date me, I'm like, you're not getting a wife who's going to cook and clean and do laundry. Like laundry, I may do that. You know, I may get to that. Not when you probably need something out of that fucking laundry basket, but I may get to that. You damn sure ain't getting served every day because it's like, that's not going to happen. You got to know who you are, right? Got to know where you at. You got to know what you want and roll with it and be okay. And the people who are not okay with that, I think you just got not get rid of them, but you got to distance yourself from, I think, the negativity to tell you that you got to do better than what you feel is right for you, or you're not enough, or you're not woman enough or man enough because you don't do X, Y, and Z. Because there's a lot of shit I ain't doing. And it's not for me to be like, well, I'm not doing this. Just like, I don't want to do it. You know, I remember being young and trying to be the perfect wife to a man who had a problem with everything that I fucking did, or found a problem in everything that I did. And so I just refuse to rearrange my purpose is to accommodate somebody else. And that may be selfish, but that's how I'm choosing to be in this life. So I come first now before anybody else. I'm like,
I think that unconditional love comes into when you meet that person and he's willing to love you under those conditions. Like
right.
You have a reason why you feel like that. It's not like you just don't want to cook for him. It's nothing personal toward with him. You just
Right.
in a different part of your life right now. So to me, I think that's
Right.
where the unconditional love come in. You know, a lot of people think unconditional love is dealing with and tolerating nonsense and bullshit. You know what I mean? That's not unconditional love. To me, unconditional love is like that. Understanding where you're coming from and why you're choosing, you know, yeah, I can cook, but I choose not to cook. I've done it.
Mhm.
So, you know, and just someone understand that why you choose to not cook. That's where that unconditional love comes in. That's where I think you know, a man, is he willing to tolerate that? You know, you're letting him know from jump, like maybe I'm not that person. You know, we all have a thing of what are we willing to tolerate
Mhm.
Mm.
in someone, you know, or again, that the unconditional love. So many people get it twisted with the oh, I want unconditional love.
Right.
That mean I'm gonna stay while you abuse me and cheat on me. And that's not the unconditional love I'm talking about. I'm talking
Right.
about, you know, loving me, knowing that I may not be what you are looking for or what you thought you were looking for, but still being able to love me anyway.
Right.
That's, I feel, is unconditional love.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think I've heard so many times where people say um, they get married for the wedding and not for the marriage.
Mm.
Seen it. I've seen it.
And I think for me, when I got married to my husband, my husband now, is because we both went into the mindset that this was it. That, and he looked at me, and he will tell you, he looked at me like I had two heads. I told him we started counseling 6 months. It was either 6 months or a year before we even got married. We started counseling, going to marriage retreats, couples retreats, different workshops, meeting with the chaplain, doing different couples therapy, individual therapy, because it was like we wanted that understanding and agreement. So by the time he got with me, when we got together, I actually told my husband that I didn't know how to cook because my kids were older. And I was like, no, because my kids thought that they were too good for leftovers. So that means you can cook for yourself. So
Uh-huh.
I no longer cook, but I made sure I ate. So he actually believed that I didn't know how to cook. So, but he loves to cook. So my biggest thing is I have a thing for cleaning and germs.
Mhm.
So he, even to this day, he does all the cooking. I do all the cleaning. That's our understanding and that's our agreement.
Right.
Now I cook certain meals that that I know that he wants me to cook, but all that other stuff, no. But we've it's been 15 years. We've always had an understanding from the
Right.
beginning, so there was no surprises.
Right. 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 There's definitely unfortunately there's definitely the misconception that the woman needs to cook and the man doesn't, right? And then men that do cook get a lot of slack, like if they're simping, like if it's a problem that they choose to be the one who's primarily cooking. And I don't think there needs to be a role to the cooking. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it needs to be assigned. If you guys is like, man, you're the cook, do it. You love to do it,
Yeah.
shit, do it. You know? Because it's just like I'm in no, I'm like nah.
No, it's, some
From the
men,
start.
that's their passion. If that's their passion, then go
Mhm.
ahead. You can cook and put my plate away when I get here. Like, you know, if that's what you like
Right.
to, you know, and some men, you know, they like to cook. It's
Right.
probably something that they probably had to do as a child due to their
Mhm.
mom working and, you know, and learn to love it. But back to what you were saying, like with marriage, people don't understand there's so much work you have to put into marriage. Like, I was married for 15 years and we grew apart. And the beginning of us growing apart started from us working.
Mhm.
We were both working, and he was working night and I was working morning. So when he's coming in, I'm leaving. So now I'm sleeping alone every night. You know, we'll try to, you know, do the Saturday or the day off and try to spend time together. But as the months went by, And I think for about 2 years, that was our schedule. He came in about 7. I was walking out the door about 7:30. And then again, like I said, just, going from sleeping every night with someone, just physically being there, to now you're sleeping alone. You start getting used to sleeping alone. And we grew apart. We started realizing we no longer have the same interests anymore. I was growing in a different way. He was growing in a different way. And who he grew to be was someone that I would never date. And that's how that our separation happened after 15 years. And he was my best friend. He was definitely my best friend, and we're still friends to this day. So he's no longer my husband, but he's still my best friend. And we were able to come to agree and say we're not the same people we were 15 years ago. Like, we didn't grow together. And I think a lot of people need to realize, when you're married, you have to be growing together, or you're gonna grow apart. You're gonna be on two different levels, and you're not gonna be, the same person they fell in love with. And I can like, I've told him that. I'm like, you're not the man I fell in love with, not expecting him to still be that 22-year-old,
Right.
but to still have the things that I fell in love with when he was 22, certain things. And, he grew to be, like I said, someone I wouldn't even date. And that's where that was. So being married is a lot of work, and you can definitely get caught up, especially with careers. When you have to have that two income when you're trying to raise a family. I have twins, so I've been there. So I know where your daughter felt, and my mom isn't here. So for her to have you, that was definitely like such a, because I went through the same thing. Like, what am I going to do with two children when they're both crying and I have to feed them? And who do I pick up? I remember being in the hospital the day I gave birth, and I broke down crying because they were both crying. And I'm like, who do I choose to pick first to feed? And
Oh.
bad, because I had to choose one. And
Oh.
I went through the postpartum after having them also. I went through even after that, like, not being good enough, or feeling like I'm not good enough, and having both. Now I'm glad that he was there. So he did a lot. It was like we had our own child. Like, he dealt with my son, I dealt with my daughter. So, and so that was easy. But to have my mom there, I think would have been so totally different. But in that same sense, it makes you have to, like what you were saying about your daughter, like, girl, you got to get it together, because I need you to step up. And it's like, in that situation, you like, I got to get it together. I got to step up. You
Mm-hmm.
I know he's there and he's doing the best he can, but now I'm feeling some sort of way, because I'm like, okay, I feel like he's doing more. And that's where the postpartum came in. Like, okay, I'm their mom. Why, I'm feeling like, okay, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to. I got to step up. I got to do this and get it right. So I need to snap out of this shit. Like,
Right.
it's hard. It's definitely hard.
Right. That growing together, just going back to relationship, is huge. And you will not be the same person you are when you meet. There's no way, because then you don't evolve. And if you're not evolving, then you're not doing what you need to do, right? As a person,
Yeah.
as a human, right? And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like you'll go to that, like, you're not who I used to know, but you're also not who I want to be with in this moment. So you had to, like, really realize that. A lot of people do not realize that, and they're still clinging on to what they used to have. And it's like, what you used to is gone. It's long gone. And we're still trying to hold on to something. This is why you see so many relationships that are toxic, especially marriages that are toxic as hell. And most of it is pride and ego that has you still sitting in the game and being unhappy.
And
Well,
believe it or not, finances.
mm,
Finance a lot to do with it. A lot of women stay
right.
because finance
Men
is
too. Let me tell you,
so
my brother
right.
used to say this shit that I used to be like, "You ain't joking. It's cheaper to keep her," and I'd be like, "Mm-hmm. I bet
Right.
it."
Years. And it's sad because I guess that's where it goes again, you
Mhm.
know, women or men choosing to sacrifice, to leave with nothing, to start all over, to
Right.
because I like that. I was a stay-at-home mom till the twins turned 4. You know,
Right.
he was that type, oh, I don't want you, working, stay at home with the kids till they old enough to go to daycare. And, and I was all for it. He's like, he's the one working. I don't want you on no assistance, and I was all for it. I'm like, it sounds awesome, especially staying at home with the children, which was beneficial because I worked with them before they even got to pre-K. They knew how to read. So it's nothing I would never take back. But what I would do different is while I was home taking care of them, I would have enrolled in some kind of college or some kind of course or some kind of something. So when it was time for me, for them to go to school and me now to get into that work world, I would have been ready,
Right.
or even did a part-time or something to where I was kind of, stacking my own bread for a little bit. Because again, like I said, some people stay in relationships knowing it's over a long time ago. And they're basically just like roommates. The love
Mm-hmm.
Right.
is gone, everything is gone, but they stay because financially, again, like you said, cheaper to keep a,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
it's
Yeah.
because you're not happy. Your children can sense when you're not happy. Like, children are not dumb. They can sense when you walk through the door, your whole attitude and your whole face change, or when he walks through the door and his whole attitude change. They can sense that. So it's like, okay, I have mommy and daddy at home, but neither one of them are happy.
Mm-mm.
You're still, it's still damaging them. It's still something. When they get older, they're going to have to deal with that childhood trauma. That is still trauma. Not seeing, arguing, seeing your parents argue. Okay, they there, but they always arguing because honestly, neither one of them want to be there. But because of finances, they stay. So yeah,
Yep.
That's
it's
exactly how I grew up. Very chaotic, very toxic. I can tell you, I can't even tell you how many times they fought. Um, I don't even want a man who drinks because my dad drinks so much. And my mom would, instead of letting him sleep it off, she'd go and argue with him. I couldn't tell you how many times he left, and like I'd run to the door and try to stop him from leaving because my mom kicked him out. So it's definitely damaging, and a lot of what I went through, I will never put my kids through. My kids have never ever seen me with an alcoholic beverage. They never will, because I don't want them to have the same trauma that I did.
Mhm.
Right.
I'm still not over it, and I'm 33.
It's rough. I used to ask my mom, like, why did you stay? Like, what was the point? You know what I mean? And in my mom's mind, it was I was trying to keep the family together because her mom and dad split when she was 5, and that was heartbreaking for her. Her whole world had changed at 5, and in her mind, she was keeping the family together. This family, her family, and I was just like, did you not see how fucked up this shit was? Like, Maya, do you know if you would have left, maybe we would have had a different chance? But I used to sit and
Yeah,
I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand the stain, you know, even
I
like
still
what,
don't understand it.
I wasn't with my baby daddy wasn't abusive, but we were toxic. We constantly argued. It was constantly a problem, where we got together when I was 13. So by the time I was closer to my 20s, it was like, why are we even together? You know what I mean? Like, why are we even together? You don't even like, because I was changing and I didn't want to just be just rap and hip hop. I was like in, Spanish music, and I was like in techno, and I was like in all this other stuff, and he couldn't understand any of that. And it was just like, we don't like the same things, we don't even talk about the same things. And even when it came to career, was I was very much into arts. I was writing poetry and stuff like that. I love writing songs and stuff. And he didn't give two shits about any of that. He wanted me to go be a nurse. Like, that's what he wanted me to go to be a nurse. And his plan was to be this ultimate fucking drug dealer. And it was just like, does that even fucking make sense? You want me to you want me to be the nurse and you gonna be the ultimate fucking drug dealer.
So he could be the drug dealer, and then when he gets shot, you can patch him back together using a YouTube video at home.
I, I guess so. Because as a nurse, I can't even imagine. And I know there's people in all walks of life doing different things, but that's just not where I can envision somebody who's doing what they got to do, going to school, becoming a nurse in this medical career. And it's like, yeah, my man is a drug dealer.
He was a drug dealer when I met him. Like, to be real, he was a dude
Yeah.
on the corner, which I was in love with adrenaline when I was a teenager when I met
My
him.
my kid's father too, so you ain't alone.
But remember what you just said. You was a teenager.
I
As you
was a
got older, that
right.
was no longer appealing. I
I
mean, I think
love
we
I
all
love
went
the
through that.
adrenaline of it. Like,
We
ooh, the
went.
bad
We
boy,
all went through that stage where
the
we
bad
dealt with
boy
a
on the
drug
corner.
dealer
Like,
and
ooh,
we
let's get
loved
it.
that. I think we all been there,
Oh,
done that, dealt with a drug dealer, and we all, but like, as you grew, I
Right.
mean, your expectations, like he could not have expected you at 13 to fall in love with him and not at now 19,
Yeah.
20, and you okay with him being a drug dealer still.
That was one of our biggest things because he would go to work for a little while and then he would be like, "Oh, I got fired or laid off," and I'm like, "Why? Like, what the fuck?" You know what I mean? It was this constant issue, and then he would just run back to drug dealing, like, "Oh, I'll do this," and it was just like,
hmm
I don't want to be the drug dealer's girl. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to. That's not the life that I want for us and for my daughter. It was just like, this ain't it.
no,
This ain't it.
my kid's father. This is how ignorant my kid's father was. So y'all remember the show that used to come on, City Under Siege? I think it was City Under Siege, where they bust the drug dealers or whatever and catch them on camera or whatever.
I don't think I seen
This
that.
this was back in the 80s, like 80s, early 90s, back in the day. Why this fool was on there? This fool was over there, and I thought they was lying to me. Why some friends of mine that was also drug dealers, these
Right.
fools had them videotaped it back when they had VHS tapes. They had recorded it. I was like, oh my God, yeah. So you are
Yeah.
not alone.
You change if you're growing and changing, you're doing what you need to do. And a lot of times it's like you get to that point where you just see it for what it is, and it's like we're holding on for all the wrong reasons. And I know when I got to like the 20s, I realized that I was holding on purely for ego because of the way, of some stuff that happened. It was like, yeah, I got him. Now what? You know what I mean? It was like that kind of whole kind of thing. But it was just like, what do I really have? What did I really gain? What am I really holding on to? I didn't win. No, it wasn't like at that time, not to say he's this horrible person, but it's not like I won this prize by staying with him. It was a constant issue. So unfortunately we had a lot of karma to work out with our bond. But eventually when I got to them 20s, it was just like, yeah, I'm not doing this. I can't do this. This is not what I want. I'm not going to be the one who stays in a relationship just to keep this facade of a family together, and we're not even a family. We're
Right.
not,
Yeah.
because it just would be constant arguing over dumb shit. It was always and when you can't stand somebody, it's gonna be the little tiny stuff that pisses you off and blows up. And it's just like, we don't even like each other.
Right. And it's
No.
funny because now as we older, I know with me, those are the signs. It's time for me to go. It's time to end this. This expired a long time ago because
Right.
now every little thing is getting on my nerve. That means it's over. Like it's what are we holding on to?
It's like,
Where
you
I
breathing? Are you still breathing?
so
Oh,
it's
those
like,
people that are, why you breathing so loud? Ugh,
soon as they walk through the
disgusting.
door, they whole shit be like, whoa, like they whole face just changed. Like, did you
Yeah.
have to come home today? Like, you not hanging out with your boys? Like, little, you know what I mean? Now you want them gone all the
Right.
time. Like, dang, get a girl or something. Like, go cheat, go do something. Don't be here. I don't want you here. Like, now you like, I don't want you here.
Right. Why
You
you
know?
slamming the door? I just walked in. What you mean?
Why you chewing like that? Like, dang, you gotta do your lips like that? But Jesus.
But no, but that's
Everything.
where we have to learn how to evolve and move forward. Like you said, you asked your mom, Ariana, why did you stay?
Right.
So hopefully that was what was able to teach you to not stay because you knew you didn't want to go down that same road for as long as she did.
Yeah. I mean, kind of. I mean, I still stayed probably longer than what I needed to. You know what I
Of
mean?
course.
Being that, especially him, because he was still the father of my first daughter, and we went through that whole thing. And then, the universe brought us back together to have, my second daughter, and I was 16 when me and him got back together. So from 16 up until 20, we were together. But the end, probably the last year, I would say me and him were cheating on each other in the last year. I was cheating hard. I wanted him to feel that shit. In the last year of our relationship, I was like, I'm about to make you feel it. You didn't fuck me over so many times. You about to get it. And I'm not going to say that that's right because it's definitely not right. I look back on it like, damn, that was a very immature thing to do. But I was a cold one. Like, I remember rolling up, having a dude drop me off in front of the house and have hickeys all on my neck. Like, you about to see this shit and you gonna
But like
feel
you
it.
said, I mean, you were at that age, which to me, that's how 19, 20-year-olds, you know,
Right.
that's what you expect. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah, though, yeah, I'm gonna get you back. I want you to feel the way I feel. I want you, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you
Right.
said, I mean, at that age, those are the things. Now, when you grown and you doing some dumb shit like that, yeah,
No.
you should just go. Like,
Right.
just leave. Like, it's
I
what
would not. I would not do that now. There would be nothing in me that would even desire to try to get anybody back. But at that time, I had went through so much with him and the cheating, like on and on and on, that by the end of it, not only were we like not, we were like enemies by the end of it. I also wanted revenge. That was my thing. And I think yeah, as kids, you're gonna do this stupid shit as kids because you're still kids. You have
hmm
no your mindset is immature, so you're doing immature things. But now it's like, hell no. If someone wants to cheat, all right, you cheated. If it and I can't just say I would be gone because I feel like there's levels to cheating on both ends, right? I see it from a different lens now. So I can't just say, oh, if someone cheats on me, that's it. It's great. You could say that shit, but in reality,
hmm
it's a different story depending on what's going on. I would hope that whoever I'm with, we can have a conversation before it gets to cheating. Like if they're feeling a certain way, if they're going through insecurities, because most of the time it's insecurities that create the cheating because they need someone to make them feel better, right? Woman or man, it doesn't matter. So hopefully, whoever I'm with down the line, we can have a conversation about what's going on before it gets there. But I can't say that I'm just going to be like, oh, if someone cheats on me, I'm just going to be out the door. I can't say that. And I used to be like, oh no, you cheat on me, that's it. I'll never talk to your ass again. But now I see things so differently that
It's
I'm like,
so true. That is so true. A lot of women do that. They do that. Oh, not me. Oh, if he cheat on me, I'm out. And so you in that
right,
situation, and like you said, due to whatever it is, and so you in that situation, you really can't say, And I think we
right,
all have said that because I remember me saying that,
right,
and me being married and my husband cheating and me leaving and things like that. And one thing, like, I left for like 3 months, then moved to a whole nother state. And one thing that my sister said to me, she said, if you're gonna forgive him and move forward. Don't forgive him and throw it in his
right,
face every chance you get. If you're not ready to go back, if you're not ready to start over and
right,
work on it, don't even do it. She's like, unless you're ready to know not to bring it up again.
right,
Like, just don't
right.
throw it in his face. And I had to say to myself and come to that point where
Mm,
I'm like, and it took me about 3 4 months to come to that, because I'm like, I know my mouth and I know any little thing I'm probably gonna say some slick because I'm not over it. And I had to really be, how can I say, not be over it, but be over it to the point where I know if I wanted it to work, we talked about it. We
mhm.
did the talk, and to know that I can trust him again, because I didn't want to be in a relationship with someone I could not trust. I'm not
Right.
going to go back to that. So
Right.
to,
Right. Right.
to know those things, and, and we wind up getting back together, and, being together, like I said, 15 years, getting married, and, things like that. So, but I was that chick. I used to be that chick. Oh, not me. A
Mm-hmm.
dude cheat on me, I'm out. I ain't playing that. He could, until it happened. And it
Right.
was the worst feeling ever, because it was the worst feeling ever.
Right.
But then I realized, and even like this older lady who was married for years, she said, she gave me advice, and she said, um, if you feel it's worth it, then you give it another try.
Right.
These are things you learn together with him, also knowing he lost you, knowing the consequence behind those actions.
Right.
She's like, take your time. Yeah, do what you got, do what you got to do. And if y'all, and we did, we like 3-4 months, I moved to a whole nother state, and then he moved to the state I was in, and he came, and we worked it out, and we're together another 8 years after that. So it was like kind of early on in our relationship. But yeah, I think we all been that chick who's like, oh, not me, I'll leave, I'm out.
Right.
So you
Right.
situation.
Yeah. Well, we get a lot of slack. Everyone has an opinion on the cheating, and you get a lot of slack from family and friends that are like, leave that mother. You know what I mean? Like, leave.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so many layers to it. Like I said, not saying that you should ever keep dealing with it, because I feel like that when it becomes a pattern, that's somebody that needs to go get help, and they need to figure that shit out.
Right.
Right.
That's different.
I don't think you need to be the baggage of this person's pattern, but I do feel like if it's worth it, if you're looking at this person and you really love this person, you're going to take that step back and really look at, can we work through this or not? But again, some people, like my daughter's father, he was someone who had horrible insecurity issues, had nothing to do with me. That, I mean, he was constantly like telling me I'm doing this, and I for years didn't do shit until the end. In the end, and I put it in his face, like, I ain't gotta hide the shit, you gonna see. You know what I mean? But for years, he could not get over his own insecurities. He constantly, because in his energy, he would say, you deserve better. And I was like, man, I should have fucking listened to your ass a long time ago. You believe that shit. You created that. You knew I deserved better, and you created the energy, right? So I guess some people are going to sit in their insecurities and never work through it. So again, at some point, whoever is, that person who cheats has to take that step back and say, why did I need to cheat on this person?
Right.
Not just, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again, but how about you heal whatever
Mhm.
the fuck you got going on inside to where you need it to go, and address that.
Yeah, I agree, because I know, like with my husband, it when we talked about it, and he was actually ready to tell me kind of where it came from, like how it came about, that, like you said, that type of thing, like with him, is he never really, how can I say, not respected women, but he always thought that women would leave him. So
Mhm.
it was more of like from birth. At birth, he was given up. His birth mom, she was 14.
Mhm.
She left him in a park when he was 3 months old. So that was the first thing with a woman. Then the mother who adopted him, she abused him
Mhm.
physically, mentally, sexually. She abused him. So that's another one. Then he had a grandma who took care of him, and she showed him all the love and treated him so well, and she died. So
Damn.
it was like his thing with women. And then with me, meeting me and having that stability and having the kids, and, not, we didn't, of course, we weren't perfect, but giving him that love and all that. So it was like, okay, when is she going to leave? Because
Right.
I know she's going to leave. She's going to eventually leave, just like every other woman who, I loved and did me. She's going to either cheat on me or do me wrong or leave me for somebody else or just get tired of me or wake up. So that's where that came. And it wasn't until we talked, and it got a little deeper of where it came, and I understood, and I could say, dang, and even with sex meant nothing to him. like women he had no respect. Like it was like he's like, it wasn't nothing you
Yeah.
did. It wasn't that I wasn't attracted to you. I didn't cheat
Right.
on you because of something you did. We had a great sex life. Everything. He was like, it was nothing. It was
It
just,
was just
and
sex.
it, yeah, and it got deeper when, and he had to even realize that himself of
Mm-hmm.
why he cheated. And it goes back to, like I said, the women in his life.
Wow.
And it's hard. I mean, so, like you said, when it comes to that now, like you said, when it comes to a man and this is his pattern and this is what he do and he think he's the
Mm-hmm.
don and he's just cheating because he think he that shit, you know what I mean? That's different. Like, yeah, you need to keep it moving because he's not going to change. This is, like you said, him feeding his own insecurities by how many women he deal with and this, that, and a third. So, like you said,
Right.
due to different circumstances, but even back to what you said, my sister and him don't get along because that's my older sister. He hurt me and she can't forgive him for that.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't get along. They cordial, but they don't get along. And it's something her husband said to her in front of me and him. He said she forgave him. And if
Mm-hmm.
she can forgive him, just imagine how much it took for her to forgive him. You need
Right.
to try to forgive him. But like I said, they can be in the same room together. They cause you, but you can tell and that's her. She just like, you hurt my little sister. Like,
Mm,
so it goes back to that with family having something. And then how can I say another thing too? What a lot of people don't do or say, they be living it. They man is cheating on them, but they don't tell it.
right.
They keep it to themselves. No, they keep it to themselves and they pretend like it's not happening and it's there. But they
Mm-hmm.
don't want that. They don't want that judge. They don't want that, oh, you need to leave. Because honestly, I guess they don't be ready to go,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a lot of the times people in relationships, they know they spouse is cheating on them, but they don't want to say nothing.
Mm,
They'll keep it to themselves
Mhm.
just so they don't get that judgmental from their family and friends.
right.
Because you do get that pressure, like, girl, you don't need to be with him. He's cheating on you. Girl, you want me to come help you pack his bag? You get that. And I think a lot of people don't be ready to leave.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
really don't.
Yeah. And you can't push somebody to do something that they're not ready for. And that goes along with anything with addiction, cheating, leaving somebody,
Right.
even getting healthier and changing your habits, stopping smoking. If the person is not ready, there's nothing that you can do. And you can be there either as a support to allow them to vent to you, share with you, let you
Right.
know what's going on, or you can say, this is something that I don't agree with. I can't have this conversation with you. So we have to put that part of our relationship to the side, and that's just not a part of it. And you can do that with friends, with family, with anybody, because sometimes it does become too much to keep hearing somebody, the ones that do talk about it and they do say, oh my God, he's doing this, or let me go and follow him, or I went through his phone and I found X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And it's like, okay, is there a change behavior that is there something that you want to do about this other
Exactly.
than other than
Right.
discuss it?
Right.
You're right. Like, okay, you're going through his phone. Are you ready? If you see those messages, are you ready? If you do reveal that he is cheating, are you ready to take actions behind it? Because why go through his phone and happen to maybe see something if you're not going to do nothing about it? What, you're going to cry and hurt your own
Mhm.
feelings, and now every 2 seconds you're in his phone, and now you're every 2 seconds you're worrying about where he's at because now you've done seen something, so he's creeping in, and now all you're doing is breaking your own heart every day,
Right.
staying there looking through his phone, looking through his emails or whatever it is, own heart.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing I do not do, I do not go through somebody's phone. I feel like if I need to go through your phone, we don't need to date.
Exactly.
And that is something that from my first, I learned a lot in my first relationship with my baby daddy, and we didn't even have cell phones then. That's how long ago that shit was. We had pagers and shit. Like, but I learned that because when you go looking for shit, you're gonna find it. And that whole thing of be ready of what you're gonna find, right? And if you need to go find something, if you need to go search for something, you already know the answer to
Exactly.
it if you need to go find it, right? So I've learned that I'm not gonna do that because I wouldn't want someone doing that to me. So if I don't trust you, why the fuck are we in a relationship? Like if
Exactly.
I don't trust you, for the life of me, I don't understand that. I don't understand if I don't trust this man, how am I laying next to him? And I
Exactly.
think we got to do better about that to have that because if I'm constantly I need to be on your phone, one I need to check myself first. Let me figure this out. What the fuck am I going through that I need to be looking in your shit constantly, seeing who you're looking at, who you liking pictures, one, why are you driving yourself fucking crazy on this shit in the first place? That goes back to your own insecurities. Now, if you really like this person is doing this again, you got to take that step back. I'm not going in someone's phone. If it gets to that point, we don't need to be together because I have
Exactly.
zero trust in you and in this relationship, you know. And I think that's just you, and you see it because I would see girls, and one would be like, "Yo," and the other one would be like a whole private eye, and I'm like, "How the fuck
Right.
y'all
The
even
the
find this shit?"
tracker thing, they're tracking the phones. They do, they
What the hell?
locations
The,
and
the the
or
fake accounts and shit. Like,
exactly.
what are you doing? You made a
Right.
fake account to be his friend, to talk to him in the DMs, to do all this extra shit. If you got to do all that, kill the whole fucking relationship. Like, just throw it in the trash. Because if you got to
Exactly.
create a whole fucking fake account to try to entice him to talk to you to see if he's going to cheat on you, the fuck is going
Yeah,
on? What the
checking,
So much, so much.
popping up at his location and doing all like what drive-bys, driving by where he
Yes.
at, having your friends take you like if like you said, if you gotta do, I mean, that's how I am too. I'm not with the
right,
phone thing. Like your phone could be laying right there, right next to me. You could be knocked the fuck out. I'm not going through your phone. I could care less. I
right.
mean, like
It's going to
I'm
come out regardless, right?
Yeah.
And again, if you got to go to that extent, you already know, you already know. So if you don't trust this person, you need to take a step back and kind of look at that first. Because I do believe in that privacy. Ask if you really want to see this person's phone,
Yeah, that's
ask
me
them.
too.
You don't need to sneak and do it. Can I see your phone?
Mhm.
You're gonna get the look in that moment. Person's gonna look at you like either why you want to see my phone or sure, look in. I
Right,
don't give a shit.
exactly.
You
Or
know?
who
Yeah.
you was just on the phone with, they gonna have no problem. Oh, my mom or my sis, or you know what I mean? They're gonna have no problem saying who it was, but if they're looking like what, But like you said, I mean, it goes back to that you already know. You just now need confirmation. That's what that is. You knew something been done told you he doing some crazy, and now you looking to confirm it. But then it goes back to okay, once it's confirmed, what are you gonna do about it? Argue about it, bring it to his
Right,
attention, argue, and then go to bed.
right,
Like, are you really going to take actions behind it if it comes out, if it is confirmed that he is doing what suspect all along? Like, what are you really ready to do
right.
that part, to end it, or you're going to cry about it, yell, he's going to ask for forgiveness, and then tomorrow you're going to be looking at his phone now because now you done
Right.
known, and now you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
Did you guys
Yeah.
see there was a kind of a little story about a chick who saw her dude was liking a bunch of Instagram models and they all kind of had like a same look. They had a same kind of look. And he was liking all of them. She went and got like plastic surgery or stuff to then make herself look like those girls because she felt that's what he wanted. He's liking all these girls, they all look the same. Then he left her after she did that. Yeah. So one of the things that I feel like women and men don't realize that there's a fantasy, right? And then there's reality. You are the reality because you're here with him in reality, but there is still a fantasy, and there's nothing wrong with having a fantasy. A lot of people want to be the fantasy of this person, but it's kind of like some people, you know what I mean? Like you could still be there,
Yeah.
but now you created the fantasy and this man can't take it. He's like, nah, that's not what I signed up for.
That's the equivalent of you sitting there watching porn, and you go in there and try to do that mess you see on the porn and break a hip. You done lost your whole mind. What?
But how many people do it? And it's crazy because it's like it's unrealistic. It is unrealistic. And now
Oh,
I'm someone who's watched like the outtakes and stuff, how they do porn and shit. And you be seeing the guy can't focus. It's all this other extra shit. I'm like, so people are looking at it like, oh my God, this is what we need to be. And it's like, no, you don't need to be the fucking porn star. They can barely do that shit. They got stools and stands and shit. They cutting and putting this shit together to make it look like it's
Right.
going
I
on.
was just about to say that. Like they're having so many different takes. They're editing it, making it look like they're going longer than what they are.
Right.
And yeah, they are they're taking time to get in that position. Like it's yeah, they don't real people don't realize like that is that is on stage. Like that's not reality. Let's just keep
Unrealistic.
it honest. That's not reality. They're in there doing a job to entertain. They're actors and actresses. So it's for
Right.
us to think and believe that they're going longer than what it is and able
Fantasy.
to do these different positions.
Right. Fantasy. And I think that we kind of that goes to your own insecurities and stuff also, that you're not allowing your person to have that fantasy and to keep that fantasy, and you want to take that away because you need to be the ultimate special person in their life. And I think if you take a second and look at that, be like, wait a minute, why do I need to be the all? You know what I mean? Like maybe I need to check my own fucking ego in this moment where I don't need to be the everything. Because I
Right.
saw that and I was like, damn, you do all that and then he leaves you. What the fuck do you
But
do?
you know what? It goes back to also like when they are talking about like bigger women, right?
Mhm.
And these women are trying to get that shape and them BBLs and that no stomach. And then he turns around and deals with a woman who's natural
Right,
and maybe a BBW, a little chunky, thick. And so now you done did all this, that, and the third,
right,
thinking this is what he likes. If I'm this, he won't cheat on me. And
right,
then he does, and it's with a natural looking woman. It's with a realistic woman, a woman with
right,
stretch marks, a woman with a belly, a
right.
woman with some meat on her body. And now you done went under the knife trying to be this, because it goes back to again fantasy. They
Right,
do look at the Instagram and they do look at these Instagram models, but that's not who they're dating.
right,
Those are fantasies. Maybe in their mind they
right,
wouldn't mind a night with one of them
right.
or
That's
what.
a strip club.
Right, that's just a fantasy for the moment, but the reality is they are attracted to regular looking women. So now you done, almost jeopardize your life going under the
Right,
knife trying to be this for this man. And
right,
then if he cheats on you, it's with someone who's totally opposite of what you're trying to look like.
right, right. Because that's again, and all pretty much most of the sessions I've ever done with clients when it comes to cheating is it comes down to it's not really them, it's the other person, what they're going through, their insecurities, their ego, what they got going on. Most of the time, it has nothing to do with their partner. They're not cheating on their partner because their partner is a shitty partner. Most of the time, and I'll say most because there's a couple little things in there that we don't look at, but most of the time it's their own shit. It has nothing to do with the person. And it's like, but you take it as if you're doing something wrong. Well, what am I doing wrong? And now I need to go. Well, you see all this, how many years has BBLs been a thing, right? And I don't know if you guys saw Kim Kardashian. They had a picture of her looking very big, voluptuous, and then all of a sudden now she's like skinny and lost all this crazy weight, and now they're trying to
Yeah.
say skinny is the thing coming back where now they're going to be
Yeah.
pushing you to be extra skinny. And I'm like, well, that's not skinny, that's anorexic. So now we're pushing you to starve, like
Yeah. The Kate Moss era, they say, is coming back, or that look.
right.
It's so crazy. I seen something and I was so amazed the other day. So, in matter of fact, the I think it said like the new BBL is now women are getting their feet done, so
What they
they
doing to their feet?
so they feet can be cute, so they can have cute feet. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with these women?
Their feet.
Like,
Wait a minute, wait a minute. What they
yes,
doing to
that's
their
now
feet?
the. I'm telling you, the thing said, "Oh, the new BBL is getting the feet done," and now they have like all these foot surgeons that they're posting, and women are doing this thing where they're getting their feet done, and I'm like,
Are
what?
they getting
That's what
alignment
I'm
with the
saying.
toes?
What are they doing to the
I
feet? That's
guess
what I'm
to
saying.
make their feet prettier or whatever.
The reason why I'm saying is because I didn't have foot surgery, and I had foot surgery because I got bad feet. It wasn't to look pretty or none of that. I got bad feet. I had hammer toes and some other stuff going on. I was wearing them damn military boots. My feet hurt. So I got custom orthotics, the whole nine. I'm all about my feet not hurting and being comfortable.
Right.
I mean, is they bedazzling their toes? What is they doing?
No, they're getting cosmetic surgery so they can have pretty feet.
I'm gonna have
I
to
don't know
Google
what
this.
that
I'm gonna have
means.
to Google this. Wait a minute.
Yes.
What in the
I
world?
seen it on
Hold on.
Instagram, and like I said, they're posting these doctors, the same way they were posting those Miami doctors that do the BBL. So now they're all these feet doctors, and who to go to get them done. And I think a few celebrities done got them done already. And yeah, and the caption said, it's the new BBL.
You literally can just take care of your feet, lotion, and put some nail polish on it, and you will be okay. Unless you really got some crazy stuff that hurts your foot.
Right, right.
I think that's
Wait,
doing the
wait.
extreme
Hold up,
here.
y'all. Hold up. I just Googled it. It say Cinderella foot surgery. Is it a good idea? What
Wait,
the hell?
I gotta Google this real quick because I need to see.
Yes, I'm telling you,
Cinderella
that's the new thing.
foot.
Wait a minute. It's got one on here that says, "Is surgery to make you taller the new BBL for men?"
Yeah. I think I've heard of that one too.
Oh no, I didn't hear of that one.
So okay. Now, okay, some of these people, their feet, they got crooked toes and stuff. Okay, you want to fix your toes? I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. Now, but some of these people, they have like a little gap in their foot and they don't want the gap. I think you're doing a little too much there. You don't want the gap between your toes. Who said you're not supposed to have a gap between your toes?
Right. We
It's
should
Your
have
toes.
gaps between every toe.
it's called the Cinderella. It's called the Cinderella procedure. What the
Like we supposed to
Listen.
have gaps between every toe. What do they mean?
Feet are feet.
Yeah.
Men, do not jump on this train. Women ain't giving a shit about your feet like that. Let me just tell all the men out there, please do not start jumping on this. Your feet are fine. Clean them as long as they don't smell. You're good.
Right.
Okay?
Wait a
Just
minute.
keep them
They got
socks on.
they got something called a foot tuck.
Wow.
This is why we need to start working on our mental space,
Yes.
okay? We need to figure out
Mm-mm.
how we can elevate in other ways so that we don't have to resort to these cosmetic surgeries to build our confidence. This is why we need to
Exactly.
build ourselves, build up each
Love
other,
yourself.
build up our children, because it doesn't end. And
Not
it's not even the feet. There was a phase, there was a time where women and their genitalia, they
Yeah,
were getting vaginoplasties
right. Because they wanted it
because
to look prettier. And I'm like, a
who
vagina is
look
a vagina. Like,
and
what?
Right.
who looking?
Right. Where you
Listen.
advertising? Like,
Okay.
what are you doing?
So
It's
I'm
like
gonna
a
say, I'm
vagina
gonna
is
say
a
this.
vagina.
So I'm gonna say this. I'm not against plastic surgery because I have had plastic surgery, but I had plastic surgery because I used to be 230 pounds at my heaviest. I had 4 stomachs and 4 butts. So if you know anything about looking like the biggest loser, when you lose the skin and your skin
Mhm.
hanging, and
Right.
I got tired of lifting it up. So I was like, I got my tummy tuck and I had lipo done. So I'm not against plastic surgery if it's necessary. But all this uncalled for, no, that's crazy.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's never
I
going to be enough.
totally that vagina thing was I never could understand it because I'm like it literally is a vagina. They
Right.
all have different ways of looking, but they pretty much is the same shit. Like you how do you make it pretty? You know what I mean? Like
I,
Yeah. They
I,
had their gold standard of what it was supposed to look like.
wow.
You didn't want the labia to be too big. You didn't want this. You didn't want that. So
I
they
mean,
made it
so
quote unquote picture perfect.
what did they do? Take a census for men, look at it and give me your opinion? I mean, how did they come up with this conclusion? You done sat here and you done took a survey of every
Right.
man that done seen your vagina to get the consensus before you to decide that it wasn't pretty enough.
Okay, so let's be real. What man is like, baby,
I was just about to.
your
Not
vagina's a
not
little ugly.
Like,
not
what
none
man
never.
could
Not
care
none
less?
never.
He
Not
could
none
care
never.
less what that thing looking
You
like.
know what? I'm gonna say it's a little off. I don't like your lips. Like what man has ever
Right, like
fucking
one of
said
your
that?
lips is a little bigger than the other, so I don't think I'm a smash. Ain't
N-
no
n-
dude saying that.
Not none
No.
never. Not none
Like,
never.
mm-mm.
Like really, where I really feel like women come up with this shit. I don't think that men are sitting here like, no, I don't like your vagina. It's really ugly. I don't think there's not one fucking man who has said that to a woman. I really think that we are the ones overthinking all of this stuff. You know what I mean? We're overthinking all of this to where we think your vagina's ugly. It's a fucking vagina. Like, let's.
Yeah. I think with that one, again, it goes back to the porn because they see what their men are watching, and there usually is a certain look. And so they think, okay, this is what I need. And then they go ahead.
Right.
But
So
again, it's
I
a
okay,
can't agree
fantasy.
so
with that
my
because
thing
I done
is
watched porn and I've done seen women porn and they stuff be looking raggedy.
and I was getting ready to say, okay, there's levels to
So
porn and there's
some of
different
Yes,
them
kind
there
of
look
are.
porn.
raggedy.
So
Yeah,
what
there's
you
different kind of porn.
so
There's different kind of
what you
porn.
gonna do? So what you gonna do if your man is in the granny porn? What you gonna do? And you sitting up here 25. What you gonna do? If your
You're
man is
gonna
in it,
dye it
your
gray.
man is into granny porn. What you gonna do is if your man is into some people like anime porn. What you
Right.
finna do?
Right.
What you finna do?
And then it goes back to men.
Jump out the closet and you looking like kaleidoscope. What you finna do?
We know
There's
men change
surgeries
their
now for
mind
that
all the
too.
time. Men change their mind all the time. So
Right.
one day they may be feeling this type of, look, and 2 months from now they feeling so now what you gonna do? Change your coochie every time he changes his mind? But then it goes back to what you said. Okay, they asking these men what does a perfect one look like? So then it goes back to
No.
us. Now we're trying to do something for men because it's not that you don't like your coochie. It's different if you like, okay, I look down there and I'm not feeling this.
Right.
But if
Right.
you're
Right.
doing this because of a man, because you want
Right.
him to like it, or you think he would prefer it better or whatever, like again, why as women are we letting a man control what?
Well, we're see that's the thing. We're making it in our mind that the man is controlling us. Now we're looking at the again, he already has you. He don't need to watch a girl that looks like you on porn, okay? He has you. So if he's watching some other type of porn, again, that's a fantasy. Let him have a damn
Exactly.
fantasy.
Let him escape for a little while.
Let him have that fantasy. And if you really need to jump out the closet in the anime, hey, do you. Cosplay is a thing, right? But to the extent of, oh, that's what he likes, I need to change me, you're setting yourself up for failure. Because again, that's a fantasy. He has
Exactly.
you in reality. It's just like a woman who watches certain porn because there are women. And a man is looking like, well, why you keep watching, black guys? You know what I mean? Like, why you keep watching that? It's like, that's a fantasy. I don't really fucking want this shit. Like, who wants this shit in real life? I think people have to have, it goes back to having conversations though. Having those sexual conversations with your person to understand what's going on instead of assuming it, running with it, you know what I mean? And creating this whole narrative in your mind when you haven't even talked to him. Because he'll probably tell you that's just porn, or that's just a fantasy.
Yeah. So again, it comes back to building yourself up enough that you can accept that your partner has this fantasy or has fantasies, period. And that doesn't mean that's something that they need to have in their life. Because if you can build up your confidence and your own self-esteem, because I know we put that on other people so often. Oh, I have low self-esteem because of you. The first word is self.
Yeah.
It's yourself. You have to build up your self-esteem. Stop looking at that from outside sources.
Right.
And then you can come to terms and deal with the things that your partner may or may not be into. And sometimes it is too much. And if you build yourself up, you can say, okay, my partner is into X, Y, and Z, and I don't like that. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not going to fight him about it or her about it. I can leave, because
Right.
there's always a choice. And that's what I feel like some people don't take into account, that there's always a choice,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have to stay if you are not comfortable with your person doing X, Y, and Z.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's having that well, we got to stop trying to force someone to be. If you really have a problem with it, why are you still with this person, right? Because you can't change this person into who you think they need to be for you, and I don't think there's anything wrong with fantasies. We all have fantasies. I used to be at work and the women would be looking at, watching these stripper dude, you know what I mean? And everybody's all over this dude's, live and stuff. None of their fucking men look like this guy, mind you, right? Not one of their men look like this dude. But just that fantasy of this man, they're going crazy on it. Does that take away the love that they have for their husband at home?
Right.
No, you know what I mean? It's a damn fantasy. I think, again, goes back to that self-worth and your own insecurities. You're getting mad off, and if you get mad off anime, you really need to
Right.
go.
And that's the thing. Like, okay, because now if you tell him you're not feeling him watching, so now he's gonna do it behind your back. So
Right,
now when you
right,
do find out he's doing it behind your back, you're even more pissed
right,
because now he's doing it behind your back. Because like
right,
you said, if that's just something that that's his getaway for a little while, it
right,
goes back to, even if he does stop, he's gonna stop because of you. He's gonna, and something I've learned when being with someone, and that was also being married, and my husband saying to me, a lot of the things I did for you. It wasn't who I was. It was
mm,
because I knew I had to be that person for you. And what happens is, I eventually
hmm,
they stop being that person,
right,
because now they have to be true to themselves, and it can take 10 years, it can take 15 years. So now if you do tell your guy, oh, I don't like you watching porn, okay, and he stops, he's only doing it for you. It's not because he really doesn't want to stop.
right,
He's doing it for, how long is that going to last? Now 2 3 months later you find out he's watching it again,
mm,
because now he has to be true to himself. Now he's saying, dang, like, this is my getaway, this is my little fantasy of how I'm going to watch it. And now you find out he's watching it. So now,
right,
and I think a lot of women don't realize that a lot of men do things for us. It's not really that they want to do it. That's not who they are. And that only lasts but so long. Eventually it will, they will stop being that person,
Mm.
because it was,
I,
or kind of like a facade. They did it for you, to win you over, to live up to you, but that was not truly who they were. So
Mm.
now when they do come to grips of who they are, they stop doing certain things. And then that's where we feel like, what did we do wrong? What it is. And it's not that. They just been pretending, or, they just been having this mask on for so long to be with us, to,
Right.
because they knew these are the things they had to do to get us to be with us, to stay with us.
I get it to a limit, but I can't say I completely agree with that. It's about our approach, or anyone's approach to how they go about it. Because if you nag somebody to stop
Mm.
doing something, then I see more likely, okay, I stopped because you were driving me crazy, you were always getting on my case, and now I have to hide it. But sometimes it's about having that discussion. And there's this person I follow, I can't remember her name right now, where she talks about get bored with the person, get bored with what they're doing. So let's say, since we were talking about the porn situation, no, let's take it to something even simpler. Let's say your man, his responsibility is taking out the garbage. Now you can nag him when he doesn't take out the garbage. Be like, again, you didn't take out the garbage. What is wrong with you? Why haven't you done this? Why do I have to do everything? Or you can get bored with it. You explain to him, oh wow, I see that you haven't taken out the garbage. But you don't do it. You don't take that responsibility on. You leave the garbage there and you move about your life. And if he still doesn't take out the garbage, your interest in engaging with him decreases. You're not rude, you're not angry, you're not oh like with a nasty attitude. You're just cordial, you're just simple. Like, oh well, since you choose not to take out the garbage, like I'm bored with you. I don't like this behavior, and you can continue to do it. I'm going to continue living my life. I'm going to continue focusing on me. Now if you would like me to be back to that happy place where I'm doing things that you like, that you enjoy, and engaging with you, then you will compromise and do the things that I am looking for with you. Or you could say, you don't take out the garbage. I don't like it. I'm tired of being in a stinky, garbage infested house. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to go somewhere else, because it's not that you're just pretending to be bored. You are getting bored. You are becoming bored, and you're continuing to evolve yourself where, wow, this person is not who I want to be with. So you can literally move forward,
Mm.
but they'll see that positive reinforcement when they do what you want them to do, and it gets them to do it more
I think
often.
that's more simpler. Like, I'm talking more deeper, like back to what you were saying, like dating
With the
someone
porn,
who sold drugs, and he was a hustler all his life. That is who he is. That is what he do.
yeah,
And then he gets with you, and he stops being that, because he knows that's not your thing. You're not dealing with hustlers no more. You're not dealing with drug dealers anymore. So
Mm.
now he's like, you know what? I know she's not dealing with drug dealers or hustlers no more. I'm gonna have to come at her different. I can't be that person. So
Mm.
now for many years he don't hustle and he don't sell drugs, and that's because he did it for you, to be who you wanted him to be. But deep down inside, he's a hustler. That's all he knows. Selling drugs, that's him. That's who he is. That is him. And 2, 3, 4 years later, he goes back to it, because now he realized, this is me. This is who I am. This is what I do. So for
Mm.
those years, he put up that facade, and he did that just to be with us. And I think a lot of men do that. Not saying it's a bad thing, but
yeah.
eventually it comes to the point where they realize, this is not who I am. Let me stop pretending to be this person, to be with this woman, because now we fall in love with that person, and then years later on they be true to themselves, and that's not who we fell in love with.
Right.
Yeah. So then you do the same thing. Like, okay, you went back to this. This was not what we agreed upon in whatever
Mhm.
terms, not that, contextually, but you have to be true to yourself and be able to move on and be able to
Exactly.
stand on, okay, I don't want to be with a man who is a drug dealer. We've had this. You came at me differently.
Mhm.
So, okay.
Yeah, that's
So,
where I think the
bye.
the growing apart comes in, because again, we fell in love
Yeah.
with that person. We fell in love with the non-drug dealing person, but that's not who you really are. Years later, you like, no, this is who I am. And that's not who we fell in love with. So now that's where the growing apart comes. Like you said, now it's time for me to go, because this is not what I want in my life. And you knew that when you met me. You knew I was not, maybe when I was younger, yeah, this was cool. But now as a grown woman, this is not what I want. This is not what I want around my children. And you pretended to be that, and now you're like, oh, this is me, this is who I am. And you go back to being who you are, and it's nothing wrong. Like I said, some people, even women, do that. Women, pretend to be this certain woman for this man,
Mhm.
and that's not really who she is. So, and back to what you were saying with the cooking, she may not be that type that cook, but she's sitting there and she's cooking every day, and she's doing this and she's baking and she's doing that, but that's not really who she is. So now 3, 4, 5 years later, she stops and she says, this is not who I am. I don't like this. I don't get joy out of doing this. And now he sees that, and it's like, but that's what he fell in love with.
Mm-hmm.
So again,
Mhm.
you put up that facade. Also, you did what you felt was necessary to get that man, to keep that man,
Yeah.
but you
Oh,
weren't true with yourself. So it goes on both ends. And I
Right.
think a
Right.
lot
oh
of
yeah.
people do that to be in relationships. They mold themselves to be that person. Like, okay, I know she's this type. She only deal with Korean men, so I'm gonna be this Korean man. But that's not really what he is, and that's not really who he is. So now you
Yeah.
invested for 4, 5, 6 years, and then you guys grow apart because now he shows that that's not who he really is. This is not his
Yeah.
thing.
But that's the thing. That's why you want to be your authentic self from the start. And you want
Exactly.
them to be their authentic self. Like, I don't like dishes. I've never liked dishes. If I have a choice, I do not do dishes. And in every relationship that I have been in, the man has known I will cook. I will do all that other stuff. And I will take out the garbage because I'm a garbage Nazi and it has to be done a certain way. So I use that example, but I'm the garbage person. But he's doing the dishes and it's not a negotiable. And I've even, like I said, I'll cook and I'll have something in mind that I'm gonna cook, but a certain pot is dirty. Guess who's not cooking it that way? I'll put it in the oven. I'll do it a different way. I'll cook something else. I'm not washing those dishes.
Mm.
It's not gonna happen.
But like
And
you said,
that's
you put it
how.
out there from the beginning, so
Right.
he
Right.
already. So he knows. Let me go get them dishes ready so she can cook. Let me go wash them dishes so the kitchen
Right.
can be ready for her when she's ready. I
Right.
mean, that's a good thing. That's where,
Right.
like you said, just putting. To me, we fall in love with the people
Mhm.
pretend so bad just to get someone, and that's who we
Yes.
fall in love with. And then when they reveal their true self, we're like, I would not have even given you the time or day.
Right.
Hmm. You are
But
so right.
this is where communication comes into it, because somebody cannot play, they can't have that mask on forever. The more questions, the more communication, the more you talk, the more is revealed. You can definitely see it. You don't got to wait 6 years to see somebody's true colors. You really don't. You need to be the person to ask, question, watch, have those communications. Because if you're talking, it's going to come out. Watch
Hmm.
how somebody's looking when you're asking them certain things. And I say this, like I've said it a million times, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's the cooking, the cleaning, laundry, whatever it is, the expectations. Because if you're coming into it with your list of fucking expectations, let me go ahead and tell you which ones are not going to happen. Most likely they're
Exactly.
not going to happen on this list. Let's discuss
Yes.
this list real quick, because everybody has a fucking list, right? But even going down to the sexual conversation, People don't have that conversation because people think it's taboo. But I'm like this. I need to know. I don't want to be with you 4 years and then you got some crazy shit that your ass need that I cannot provide for you. Okay? Because I'm going to tell you it's not happening, so you should have went and got somebody else, because there are women that will do this for you. Look, I'm not the one for you. I'll be the first one to say I'm not the one for you. But people won't have these conversations because everybody is so afraid to say what they like. And I'm like, look, I like X, Y, and Z. So if this is not something on your sexual list, then you probably are not the person for me, because at some point I'm gonna want X, Y, and Z, right?
Right.
We need to be able to have these conversations. Sex and everything, it goes hand in hand with everything, but people are so afraid to be that authentic self, to say this is what I truly need in a partnership. They want to, where everyone wants to go with this bullshit of what society says is a relationship, and then you got all this crazy shit happening on the back end. From the get-go, I think you need to have conversations, those goals, those wishes, those dreams of where you see where do we see each other going? Do we fit in the plan? If this person's dream is to fucking move to California and your dream is to sit in the South your whole fucking life, y'all are not the same.
Right.
And I
There is
think that's
nothing
why
the same.
I think that's why me and my husband got together. We put like everything on Front Street. Like because I think at that point we were older and we were exhausted and tired, and we just did not have the energy to put up the facade, or what. We was like, look, this is who I am. You either take it or leave it. This is and we just went from there. It's like
Right.
I wake up tomorrow, be like, okay, I want to live over here. He like, okay. It's like, and he'll tell you, he be like, you come up with some crazy shit. He said, but it always works out. And that just works for us. We just like, we don't have the energy. That's too much like a job. Uh Faking this and lying about this.
Right.
Because like you said, eventually the truth is gonna come out. You're gonna show your true colors. If you've been hiding your crazy for all them months, your cuckoo clock gonna break.
Right.
Now you in here talking to the light bulbs, and he trying to figure out what's wrong. And so I mean, that's trying to hide, and that's too much like a job. That's
Right.
Yeah.
exhausting.
Right. You got to know your own crazy. And you got to be able to be like, look, this is me. Like, even as evolved as I am when it comes to relationships, I am very, very controlling. Okay. When it comes to relationships, that is not something that's really tweaked, even with all the healing and shit I do. When it comes to a relationship, I have there's a part of me that gets very possessive when it comes to, you know what I mean? That has not really changed. That is like, I'm gonna let you know so you know who you are talking to, because you are going to see this crazy happen at some point. Should you act a certain way or should you move a certain way? And I think people are trying to pretend to be this, perfect person. It's just like, let me let you know now that there is a crazy, very crazy side to me, and I just think people don't have those conversations. So they do a disservice to themselves and to the other person. And then you're trying to pretend to have this facade relationship when neither one of you are truly happy, because you can't give each other what you really want. That's
Yeah.
why you see the girls that are trying to have threesomes with their man to make him happy and don't even want to be involved in that and so unhappy. And then you see the guys that do it, for the women, and they're sitting here like, y'all think that every man would want this threesome, but I have seen, a couple particularly where the man was just like going along with her of what she wanted to do, but was just like, you could tell he's like, all
I
right,
have
this is what you
spoken
really
to
want.
who actually said, I don't mind having a threesome with a chick that's not my wife. That's not my girl. I would
Mhm.
never want my wife or my girl to have a threesome.
Right,
Like, yeah, it's fun, it's cool, it's okay, but not
right,
my wife,
So,
not my, I would never ask her to do something like that. I've been spoken to men who have said that, like, I would never ask my wife or my, my woman that I love to do something like that. And back to what you said, it's a lot of women that are doing yes, like you said, no communication. And it's like, yes, not even into women, but they down for that threesome because they think that's
Right.
what he wants or what's going to keep him.
Right.
And no, they're not even into women. So now they're pretty much disgusted while they going through it
Right.
just to satisfy him. And then what, 3 months later, you guys break up and you're disgusted with yourself. And now you feeling some sort of way because now
Mhm.
you know that those are the things that you morally would have never done, but you did it for him. And he
Mm.
now moved on to the next chick. That didn't keep him.
Right.
It wasn't going to keep him. Like, no man is not going to stay unless he wants to. Whether you have a foursome, tensome, like, like you can do whatever. Like, you can bring as many women you want into that bed. If he don't want to stay, he ain't staying.
Right.
Cool.
I think there's some you have to understand who you are, and I think that goes to just going back to authentic self, right? You got to understand yourself sexually in on all levels. Sexual is one of them. If you don't know who you are, chances are you are not going to be that person in this relationship because you don't even know what you like. You don't even know where you stand on certain things. Like me, where I'm at in my life, I'm in my 40s. I know exactly what I want and what I don't want. There's some things that I know I'm not interested in trying. I don't need to go there. I've done a lot of things. Me personally, me and my person, my man, you know what I mean, or husband, I ain't sharing you with no one. Like again, I said I'm possessive when it comes to that person. Oh, I'm possessive. Ain't no way that I could sit because even the thought of it, I would end up beating the shit out of somebody before we even get out this room.
Like,
I'm
you
very possessive too. No
are
way.
like in the middle of the threesome, I'ma smack the like you doing too much. Like, you know what I mean?
You
Yeah, I
got to
would
know yourself. You got to know
yeah,
yourself and right,
because
you got to understand. You got to know yourself. There's no way that I could do it with someone I love. You know what I mean? Yeah, having fun, doing shit crazy. I've done a lot of crazy shit in this life. I've tested waters, you know what I mean? Cuz I'm one of those people. I experiment. I have been someone who's experimented, right? But I know for a fact someone that I love, my man, oh yeah, no. Ain't no way in hell. There's no way. There's just a different change when it comes to that person. There's no way I could share like that. Mm-mm. So if that's what you need, because my thing is communication. If that's what you need, you really think about it because I'm not the one that's going to give you that fantasy. So go have that fantasy before me. Like go find some people to do that fantasy for
right.
you because it is a fantasy. It
Get it
is
up.
a fantasy. Go have that fantasy and then, come back and, we can go live happily ever
Right.
after.
Forward. I got it out. You done experienced it. Okay, now we can move forward. But yeah, before you come to me, you got to get that out your system.
Right.
I
Right.
ain't it.
Because like what? Because really, even we know men. What? There's not a lot of men that there are swinger couples and stuff like that. I'm not saying it don't exist, because man, it exists. There are people that are they're okay,
Yep.
but that's them. They're okay. They
Stop.
do their thing, and then they
My-
come back to life, and it's like, hey, y'all do you.
Right. That's a whole lifestyle for them, though. That's a
It
whole,
really is.
in our community, they're doing this just because
Right.
they're
Right.
out drinking, drugging, and then just having, these things, thinking that that's part of relation. I've done seen it, heard it all on Instagram. Where, they get it too from these celebrities, where these celebrities is like, oh, I bring home, a woman for him, and it's like, okay, because you guys are celebrities and have money, you don't think it's something deeper than what it is.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
I don't know. It's just, to me, I think that's more deeper, on a deeper thing. I think a lot of women do that yes thing, and it's no communication. It's more like, okay, I don't want to argue, or I want to be the chosen one. So I'm going to be the yes girl. And then those yes girls make it bad for us girls who ain't with it. And then it makes it seem like we're the difficult ones when
Nah.
they come across us, and we're like, oh, nah, I'm this, that. So now we're like the difficult ones because there's so many yes women out
Right.
there that are willing to say yes to whatever, just to, keep their relationship, or so they won't argue, or so they won't whatever. And then it's
Ain't
like,
that many men that was gonna jump on the opportunity to see you bent over by somebody else. I am sorry. There is not that many partners that's gonna be like, oh yeah, let's do this. Hell to the no. So I'm always like, we don't do anything that you don't want me to do. Don't ask me to do anything that you're not down to do. I seen a story actually where this girl and her husband went to like Vegas or something, and she was like, oh, let's do a threesome. Let's get crazy in Vegas or whatever. So she finds a guy. She finds a guy. And the guy's like, well, why didn't we get a girl? But come to find out, that stranger was actually her boyfriend that she flew to Vegas and then acted like it was the stranger that she could have a threesome.
No.
And I was like,
My best friend, sorry.
some people is crazy as hell.
Yeah. My best friends are swingers. And for a really long time, I judged them. And I was like, I don't understand how you can do it. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Now, since then, I went to parties. I'm not a swinger. I never engaged in no sexual acts. I may have recorded some things, but I've never like engaged. But since I recorded that, I leave before the sex happens because it's just not my scene. So it's deeper. Like, it's super deep. So for her, she's so insecure that she'll say to me like, oh, I don't want to do it, but say, okay, I'll do it to him. And she just doesn't know her worth. And it sucks because how do you tell somebody that like, hey, like, you don't really have to do this. And if you really want to sleep with multiple men, you don't have to swing with him because that's what he wants to do. And he's perfectly game and fine with it. And he loves it. And he thinks it's the best thing ever. And there's nothing wrong with it. Well, it's deeper than that for him too, because he's always been cheated on. So this is his way to sleep with multiple people at one time and have her join in the same time. And they're both miserable living together because she wants a relationship. She's done a lot of foul things to him. So he doesn't want that commitment, but they have kids together. So they're just there for the kids. So it's a whole big thing. And I'm just like, you guys need to separate. Like, if you want to have sex with multiple people, go ahead, because she'll get jealous if he goes to another girl's house because they're really not together. They're just living together. But she could do whatever she wants to do, but he's not allowed to do the same. So why even engage in anything if it's not a two-way street? I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And I never will.
I don't judge like, well, I'm like, ill, you know what I mean? I'm like, y'all do you, you know what I mean? I know that I couldn't do it. Like, I couldn't be a swinger. You know what I mean? It sounds good. And I would tell couples this, like, it sounds good until after you do it, because the after effects of it is now you have to be confident in yourself, not to be like looking at your person like, oh, that's who you want. Oh, because it's going to go downhill real fucking quickly if you two are not confident in yourselves that this is the lifestyle that you want. It's going to go down very quickly. I've seen it, right, with other people. So you have to be in a certain mind frame to do that without it becoming a problem. Like them, they're doing it for all the wrong reasons. You're not doing it together as a couple because sexually this is what you guys like. You guys are doing all your fucking trauma is into this, right? You brought all your damn trauma into this. And so that's all the wrong ways to do things. And again, it goes back to people are just trying to do things out of what they think they need to do it, but instead of being authentically you and saying, this is really not me, this is really not what I want. This is not how I see life. And let me speak up and change where I'm going. Like I said, for me, I know me, there's a lot of things I'm not going to do with the person that I love, that I would never do with the person that I love. There's no way,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, go
And you just got to know yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
So going back to like what Louisa said, work on yourselves. Like, work on yourselves.
Yes.
If you don't know you won't be able to move a certain way to even understand what you need from your partner or what you need from yourself. You will constantly be stuck in these situations, mad and depressed because
everything, self-love, self-esteem, self-confidence, it all starts with self. None of those things else. It's self-confidence, self-love. Like it's just
Mhm.
that's the main thing. If you can't deal with self, you're
Mhm.
not able to achieve self-confidence of, your self-esteem. You can't worry about somebody and then became as though because of what?
Right.
Or I'm because it all starts with self.
Right. I remember I remember my baby daddy was the first person I watched porn with. And I remember him like, yeah, let's watch this. But then it was a problem when we watched it because his insecurities was like fucking a million. And then it was just like him comparing himself to these guys on this fucking porn. I'm a fucking child at that time. I fucking didn't know. I didn't like if I knew now what I knew, of course I would have said some different shit. But it was just like even then it was like, why are you comparing yourself? Like we're together. Like what you're watching this and I'm watching it with you. And now it's a fucking problem that I'm watching this shit with you. And again, you got to have your shit together as who you are so that these other things are not creating havoc in your relationships in your life because it all goes down to you. It's not your other person. It's you're the common denominator in everything. If you can't say what you truly need in any situation, you're going to constantly be stuck in the damn I'm sad or I'm not happy or this ain't what I really want, but we just here.
Or looking
Mhm.
from others. Once you
Mhm.
know who you are, you could care less what someone else thinks about you. That don't hold no weight to you. But so many people look for validation in their partners and their family, whether it's a job, friendship, but again, when you know who you are and you happy with who you are and the things you've done and your character, when you're a true good person and those type of things, you could care less what somebody else thinks, or their opinion really doesn't matter. It doesn't affect how you move. You know,
Right.
I don't know. So many people, though, do allow their partner or family members or a job to dictate how, they feeling. Say, like at a
Mhm.
job, your boss say something and puts you down, and now your whole day is messed up because now you're questioning yourself like, dang, am I not capable to do this job? Am I? So now you're questioning yourself. But when
Mhm.
you know you can, it doesn't even matter. You're like, okay, it's something personal with them, so they
Right.
to put me down or belittle me because they're dealing with something personal. And that's
Mhm.
something that I've learned, like with jobs, a lot of the times bosses are very controlling because they have no control in their life. So the only control they really do have is with their employees.
Mm.
If, whatever it is. So it's like they life is so out of control, but the only control they have is when they walk into work and talk to their employees. Because as an employee, you're gonna do what your boss say.
Right. Right. Dang. That makes a lot of sense now. I'm thinking about a couple
Yeah.
couple places. I'm like, interesting.
Right. I mean, it does. It really a lot of control comes from them not having no control in their life.
Mm.
Even partner, when your partner is controlling, it's because 9 out of 10 in their life they have no control of what's going on.
Mm.
They,
Right.
putting that on you. The only control they do have is controlling you.
Or the fear of losing control. So it's the same shit. Like trying to keep this control over a situation because it's based at a somewhere, whether it's fear or otherwise. I'm a control freak. I get it. I've been that's been one of my biggest things to work through is trying to have control in a life where you really don't have control over
Right.
anything.
True. That is so true. As much as you want
Oh.
all your ducks in a row, there go that monkey wrench that just comes out of nowhere when you think you got it all together and all planned, and there goes life throwing something at you, and you're like, oh, I thought I had everything under control, but in reality, I have no clue.
Right,
It
right,
came out of nowhere.
right. All right, you guys. We're at the 2 hour mark. It was awesome to have you guys jump on and chop it up with me. We will definitely do this again. Of course, I don't know the date, you guys. I will, of course, post it like I did this one. I'll post the event on whatever date for next month. But again, thank you, ladies, for coming on. Any last words before we jump off? I think we've talked about so much. We're definitely started with one topic
Yeah.
Seriously.
and ended. But any
I
last things you guys want to say?
I'd say just be authentic to yourself in all the topics that we've discussed, from what you accept, what you can achieve, and as long as you're being true to you,
Mhm.
you're going to be able to succeed.
I would say everything starts with self. Always keep that in mind. Self love, self esteem, self confidence. It all starts with self.
No?
Sorry, my daughter's, she's driving me insane this morning. But I agree. Everything starts with self. Gotta look in to see what you're gonna tolerate, what you're not gonna tolerate, and just be very, very open and honest with yourself.
I say self, and that magic word again is expectations.
Release those damn
Right.
expectations, right?
And I no longer have expectations. My new thing is requirements. I don't expect anybody to do certain things, because when you have expectations, you get let down and disappointed because you expect them to be how you are or move.
Exactly.
So now my requirements, I require you to give the same thing I put out. I require you to move the way I move, or you could go that way.
Yes,
Yep.
love that.
You got to know your whys behind everything. You got to know your
Mhm.
whys, and that becoming authentic, to know who you truly are. And when you know who you truly are, you're not hiding those pieces of you behind any closed doors, because you don't care about judgment. You're not caring about what anybody has to say. You're you. You're you in your authentic form, and the real people are going to love you exactly the way you are. So there's no reason to hide, but you have to strip away the layers to find that person and stand in that authenticity. So definitely, you guys, love it, love it, love it. Thank you guys so much. You guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I was going to say Saturday, but I was like, wait a minute, I'm in the wrong damn day. Um, and you guys who watch this, whenever you guys watch this, drop us some comments. Let us know what you guys think of the convo today.